Okay, so here we are, and this is going to be part 2 of the Stairway to Heaven project. Remember, in part 1 we created the harmony and we created the bass line, and now we're going to go ahead and create a drum backup beat for the song. So I've gone ahead and I've included another track, an instrument track, and I went and I chose Standard Kit 1 as my percussion drum kit. And I do that and I click on the white space here. You'll see down in my piano roll on the sound option I have all of my different drum sounds. So after we listened to last week's video on creating pop drums, this should be a little bit easier for you now. So I'm just going to do a basic standard pop rock beat pattern, and you can use this, you can modify it. I hope you will play with it and try to come up with a sound that really accents and brings out the different parts of the melody and the harmony. That's what the drummer is really about. The drummer is really about listening to the band and accenting the different parts of the band and try to bring out different aspects of a particular song. So what I'm going to do first is come down here and make sure that I'm snapped to a quarter note. That will give me 4 sections of each measure, which is basically 4 beats in each measure. And I'm going to come down here to the kick drum, and there's 2 kick drums, and I'm going to use the first one, or the bottom one, as my beat 1, and then I'm going to use the second one as my beat 2. So I'll go here on 1 and here on 3. And then I'm going to go up to my snare, and the snare drum is over here somewhere. And notice there's 2 snare drums, a 1 and a 2. So on the second beat, I'm going to use the first snare drum, and then on the 4th beat, I'm going to use the other snare drum. So this is what we've got. Okay, and I'm going to mute these other sounds out for a while, just so we can concentrate on that drum. Okay, so that's what we've got. Now, to add to that, and remember that those are the basic beats, the basic aspects of the pop beat, the bass drum and the snare drum. So now I'm going to go up to the ride cymbal, or actually not the ride cymbal, but the hi-hat, the closed hi-hat. Okay, and that's going to give me a little bit of accent. So what I'll do here is I'll just do 1/8 notes on the hi-hat. So to do 1/8 notes, we're going to have to subdivide. So I'm going to come over here and snap now to an 1/8 note, and notice that I get these little subdivisions in each beat. So now I have a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to come over here to the closed hi-hat, and I'm going to click on each of these beats. And let me just drag this back in. Actually, we have to make sure that these are 1/8 notes, so we can get every. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of this. This is a mistake. And then I'm going to bring my loop back in, so it's just the one measure. So let's listen to this. Oops. Okay, let's go back again. Okay, so those closed hi-hats ended up being a quarter. So notice I have to bring these back, drag these back, make sure they're 1/8 notes. So now we're going to have okay, so we've got a basic simple pop backup. Now if I take this and I drag it across the whole thing and we play it, we're going to get a pretty standard bass drum line. So now I'm going to unmute these things, and let's listen to that. Okay, now maybe on the last measure, which is measure 8, we want to add in a little bit of a roll there. We can do that by just copying this out 7 and then changing the 8th, or we could just do a completely separate track. We could just copy this track down or duplicate the track, and what we could do is close off this line so we only go out 7 with this line, and then bring this one all the way up to the 8th. And now, instead of using what we had for the other 7, we can just modify this. And so what you can see is I went ahead and I made some changes to that drum track by adding in the high tom, the mid tom, and the low as sort of a turnaround, and taking out a little bit of the cymbal and the snare. And then if I play just that track, you can see how that's going to go boom, doot 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 doot, and come back into the next phrase. Just a little bit of a turnaround, but of course we're expecting that you will bring your creativity to the turnaround and do something much more impressive than what I've done. But this is a pretty good technique of breaking out the drum pattern to get the standard back up, but then near the end of the phrase we're doing a little turnaround so that we can now come into a new phrase or come into the same phrase, but give everyone an idea that one phrase has ended and now we're adding the next phrase. So that's how you can add a drum track into this. And now if we listen, you'll hear okay, and then we're ready to move on. So that, I hope, gives you some idea of how you can use the drums in the standard kit to give yourself a little backbeat to your song. Thanks for listening. Take care.